Welcome to this week's webinar, whereby we continue discussing the ISMM Level 5 Diploma in Sales and Marketing. Unit 501 is Understanding and Developing Customer Accounts. And today we're going to look at Learning Outcome 4, in particular Learning Outcome 4.4, which is be able to prepare for customer procurement. We are going to look specifically at Davidson's 7-step drill for customer analysis. And Learning Outcome 4.4 is identify existing suppliers of customers and conduct a competitor analysis to identify your own organisation's strengths and weaknesses. So what is this all about? Well, now that you've decided as a salesperson the right account to approach, the right account for your business, we now need to ask the question, who else is supplying this customer? Or who else would like to supply this customer if it's a tender? So competitor analysis is absolutely essential if you have to grow your business, your market share in a competitive market. This is where the step-by-step competitive analysis comes in to really create the bigger picture. It was in his book Offensive Marketing that Hugh Davidson very much captured this sense of how do we compete and gain competitive advantage. And he wrote the book in 2003. And in his book he had this 7-step drill that organisations could take to very much analyse the competitive landscape. So Sun Tzu in The Art of War said the now famous line, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. And this is very much what we're going to take a look at today. So what are the 7 steps? Well, let's take each one of them one at a time. So number 1, identify current and future competitors in the market. It's very important to try to identify who your prospective competitors will be. And the best way of doing this is thinking about how attractive do you think the customer will be to this specific competitor. Do they want to get into this marketplace? Is this a category that they're keen to try to develop? But be aware, you shouldn't just be looking at the current competitors that are in this marketplace. What are the newcomers that could be lurking around the corner? What new technologies could be coming in to this particular marketplace? We've spoken in the past about Porter's 5 forces, and it's essential that you take a look at that model to look at not only the current competitors, but the potential substitute products, newcomers into the marketplace, the supplier demands, the buyer demands, etc. So take a look at Porter's to get a better understanding of that. Secondly, what are the investment priorities, objectives and goals of the company's major competitors? Knowing your competitors, what they've done in the past, can provide many clues as to what they are likely to do in the future. The attitudes and philosophies of your competition deserve to take a close study. With several competitors, these attitudes tend to be deeply ingrained into the culture of the organisation and therefore will not change an awful lot. For example, for many years, GE's objective was market leadership, to become the number 1 or the number 2 at least in every single market that they entered. Therefore, it is quite easy to identify exactly what GE's market scope was because you knew exactly what they wanted to achieve. The same as with Ryanair. Ryanair very much set themselves out to be a cost leader. Therefore, if you want to go up against Ryanair, you understand that price is absolutely going to be the number 1 area in the battlefield. So, with companies that have very visible strategies, it's quite easy to read exactly what their approach to the market will be. Companies without visible strategies obviously make it much harder to read. But you still need to understand exactly what you believe they will be doing so you can keep an edge against those potential market strategies. Third, how important is your company's specific market to each competitor, and what is the level of its commitment? So each competitor is likely to defend or improve its position in the market targeting by your company. The factors influencing the level of competitive commitment to a product or category are as follows. It could be the business are looking at the amount of profit that they can make from a specific category. They may see the potential category as a growth area for their business, or they may see the potential category as an incredibly profitable area for your business. Or you need to look at what is the attitude of the business from a management perspective towards growth, and what are their offensive policies. So this very much will give you an understanding of how committed your competitors are to actually approach the market. Step 4, what are the competitors' strengths and specifically their limitations? When measuring your competitors' strengths and weaknesses, a useful technique is to use your own business as a benchmark. Therefore, in what respect in each competitor are they better or worse than your business? Which of its strategies are working better and which are not working quite so well? In doing so, it's useful to develop a SWOT so that you can start to look at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and strengths. Are you aware of any kind of initiatives that they are implementing? And do you know whether or not you can improve on any of the weaknesses that you have identified? Are you aware of how the organisation is trying to enhance on the strengths that you've identified? So this will very much give you the strengths, limitations of the business. Once you've done that, what weaknesses, part 5, what weaknesses make the competitors vulnerable? You've identified the weaknesses. Are there any areas that make them specifically vulnerable, which you can therefore exploit? Step 6, what changes are competitors likely to make in their future strategies? This question will usually answer itself if you've done the first 5 steps effectively. One of the things you may want to do is look at the Boston Consulting Group matrix. This is where we talk about cash cows. So, are they seen as a strong investment candidate? Or are they using cash cows to finance new programs and products? So use the BCG model to really understand what their likely future strategies will be. Once you've done that, step 7. What effects will all your competitors' strategies have on the industry at large, and on the market, and on your strategy? So this step is all about understanding the bigger picture. It's understanding how the strategy competitively affects the full direction of the industry. So, in terms of what this competitor is going to do, will that affect the industry as a whole? Will it have an effect on the marketplace? And indirectly, does that have an effect on what you guys are going to do? So, this is very much a useful technique in understanding exactly what your specific strategy, therefore, will be. So we've taken a look at the 7 steps, but where do we get this information on our competitors? Well, again, Davidson suggests that there are 3 sources of competitor information. 1, recorded data. 2, observable data. And 3, opportunistic data. So, number 1, the recorded data. This could be things that you've identified in terms of, published internal reports, specifically external reports, because they'll be a lot easier to achieve. So it could be the annual report, it could be product brochures, for example. Secondly, observable data. This could be areas such as price lists, competitor pricing. It will be areas that you can seek in terms of where they are publishing data. And lastly, opportunistic data. This is probably going to be some sort of anecdotal evidence. It could come from discussions that you've had with suppliers or customers. It could be previous dealings that you've had with these competitors. It could be areas that you've heard business speakers discuss in the past. So these sources should give you a reasonable understanding as to what the competitors are doing and what their plans are in the marketplace. So hopefully we've given you an understanding of what Davidson's 7-step drill for customer analysis is, and this therefore will help you in understanding how to prepare for customer procurement. So thank you for watching. Next time we will develop further the Level 5 Diploma in Sales and Marketing.